Hey everybody, it's your girl Urban Farm Sister, and I'm back. Had a slight, technical difficulty, but we're here finally. Sorry for the delay. Today we have Alexander here with us, and we're going to show you guys and teach you guys about the corn industry. And at the end, we're going to pop some popcorn. We're going to show you how to do that at home. So thank you guys for joining the broadcast today. We're outside. It's a little chilly out here, but we'll be all right. This is not going to be a long presentation. So we'll just go ahead and get started. Trying to freeze again. Hey, Owen's Garden Frenzy. What in the world is going on? All right, for guys that don't know me, my name is Nadia Ruffin. Just a little bit about my background. I have 2 degrees. I have a bachelor's in science in agriculture from the Ohio State University. My major was animal sciences and pre-veterinary medicine, as well as I minor in entomology. I have a master's of science in entomology, which is the study of insects. So I'm an entomologist, an animal scientist, urban farmer, and an educator. Um, I own a um, I own a urban farm here in Cincinnati called Kiwi Produce, and I also started a nonprofit called Agri Incorporated, and I'm co-owner of a lab called Agri Labs LLC. Like I said, I'm an urban farmer. I grow stuff here in the city on an empty lot that I purchased, and I grow that in soil as well as I hydroponics. I have bees, I have chickens. So I'm a beekeeper. I teach people, how to grow their own food, how to grow, produce, how to raise animals, how to start small scale farming endeavors and things like that. So tonight we're gonna, talk about, like I said, corn. But we're really gonna talk about the grain industry and things like that as well before we get into the actual corn. But first, I want to talk about agriculture because a lot of times when I say agriculture, people just instantly assume that you just have to be a farmer. While farming is a big aspect of agriculture, there are many different fields of agriculture. And so this is just a small list of the possibilities that a person could, get into. Things like agricultural engineering, animal breeding, animal husbandry, microbiology, plant pathology, environmental science, entomology, food science, veterinary medicine, waste management, all types of things fall under that whole branch of agriculture. So when I say agriculture, don't just always assume that I'm just talking about farming because there's so much that a person can do. All right, so we're gonna focus on food science today. um, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard that before. I see some people have commented since I've logged in. How you doing, Owens Garden Frenzy? Good evening. Hi, Grace Sean. Hi, Britt and Zinga. Good evening, sister. Good. I'm glad your 11-year-old son can tune in because these classes are really focused for the children, but adults can learn as well. Hey, Tamar. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna focus on food science today. Last time when we were talking about the chickens and stuff, we were focusing on animal sciences, but we're gonna talk about food science. So food science is the study of physical, biological, and chemical makeup of food and the concepts underlying the food processing. So, when you eat a meal, there's science that goes into that. When you buy a meal from like, a prepackaged meal or a processed meal, or, you go to a restaurant, there was a food scientist that before that product got to you, they were involved in the making of that product. So food science, it involves many different areas. So, it involves chemistry, it involves microbiology, it involves law, it involves statistics, nutrition, physics, horticulture, animal sciences, biochemistry, as well as engineering. So it's not just simply, food. It's food plus science equals awesome. It takes a lot to get food to your table. I mean, even when you're cooking in the kitchen, if you think about all the processes that you do to get that meal on the table, if it's not pre-made and you're making it like from scratch, there's a lot of science and stuff that goes into that. You have to make sure temperature's correct. You have to make sure you're using the right type of oils. Preparing, food so you can get the bioavailable nutrition from it and things like that. So it is very vital that food science is involved in the whole food making process. So a food scientist is a person that researches ways to improve food, whether it's through nutrition or bioavailability. And we'll talk about bioavailability in a minute. Food safety, as well as chemical makeup of food, preparation, and growth. So growth would be like growing plants as well as, raising animals. And also, you have to think about microbial growth and things. So when we're talking about food safety, that's what we're talking about with the microbial growth to make sure food is, safe to eat. Microbes and things can make us very sick if they are on our food. So what is food made from? Well, it's made from the 5 food groups. There's dairy, vegetables, fruits, grains, and proteins. From those 5 food groups, we get our essential nutrients that our body needs. So we get carbohydrates. Does anybody know what carbohydrates are? And I'll just wait a second because I know it's a slight delay. Does anybody know what carbohydrates are? You know what carbohydrates are? You remember what those are? Huh? So carbohydrates is one essential nutrient. Then we get proteins, we get fat, we need fiber. We need fiber. Why do we need fiber? So who can tell me what carbohydrates are, and then who can also tell me why we need fiber? And you can put the answer in the comments, and then I'll read it out loud. We also need vitamins, minerals, and the most important. Actually, these are all important, but the most important is water because our body is primarily made up of water. And so if your body doesn't have the seven essential nutrients, you cannot function properly. So I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, so if anybody doesn't know what carbohydrates are sugars. So our body does need sugar. There's just different forms that our body needs that, a lot of times, like when we get table sugar, that's in a sucrose form. Our body actually needs a glucose form. And so when it's in that sucrose form, what our body does is actually stores that up and then it'll break it down to that glucose form that we need. But that storing of that sugar up is what actually, adds on fat. But our bodies do need fat. Fat, acts as a cushion. It acts as your body can break that fat down for energy and things like that. So our body does need fat. And we need fat also to help absorb some vitamins. If you ever heard of, fat soluble vitamins, the reason they're called fat soluble is that they will not be absorbed by the body in the small intestines unless there's fat present in your diet to help them be absorbed into the small intestines so they can go into your bloodstream and be, that vitamin be sent to the part of your body that needs it. So if you don't have fat in your diet, you won't be able to absorb those fat soluble vitamins. So now we're going to talk about cereal crops. So cereal crops are all members of the grass family. Some examples include rice, wheat, maize, which is also corn, barley, oats, rye, millet, and sorghum. They are all grown for their seeds, which we call grains, which are high in carbohydrates and protein. So we already talked about carbohydrates, and proteins are needed to build muscle as well as, cell muscle repair and things like that in the body. So grains are very important. You got to have grains in your diet because you have to get carbohydrates as well as protein. The water content of the grain is low compared to other vegetables. So it's weird. You can classify grains as a grain. Also, you can classify it as a vegetable, but you can also classify it as a fruit. Um, and we'll talk about that, why it's classified a fruit, in a second when we actually start talking about corn. But cereal food science is a study concerned with all technical aspects of cereal. It is the study the nature of the cereals and the changes that occur naturally and as a result of handling and processing. So, the cereals that we consume, the wheat, corn, and all that, it's a process to get that um, you know, to the products that we use it for. There's a whole process behind that, and so there's a whole science behind that whole industry. So, anybody have any questions before I continue on? I want to make sure everybody can hear me too. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. So the food scientist that we're gonna focus on is called a cereal chemist. This is a specialized food scientist. This cereal chemist may work in basic research examining the biochemical components of cereals, including their carbohydrates, their proteins, lipids, and enzymes. They may also work in processing and food production, which can include milling and any other production that occurs with these grains. Because of the importance of cereal as food for humans and animals, the field of cereal chemistry continues to grow as an important scientific career. So, if anybody's ever interested and you don't want to get into the agriculture industry, but say you don't want to, own a farm or something, this could be an actual field that a child or even an adult could, actually pursue. They actually need cereal chemists. Um, there's not a lot of people of color that are cereal chemists. There's a few schools here in the United States that actually offer this degree, but if you can't get into those actual schools, you could get a degree in food science and then specialize in cereal chemistry. Some people also go to school for chemistry, just chemistry, as well as biology, and there's a couple of other fields that you can actually major in, and then you can actually do like internships at these places that specialize in cereal grains or a particular grain. Maybe it's just corn or rice or whatever, and you can have a position there. Or once you get your degree, you could set up your own like establishment, and you could be a cereal chemist of your own lab or your own business and things like that. So there's a lot of options out here in this particular field. So today we're going to learn about corn. Anybody have any questions before I continue? No questions? No questions. All right. So corn, which is also known as maize, is a cereal grain first domesticated by indigenous peoples in the southern Mexico about 10,000 years ago. Corn is a grass. A lot of people don't know that. It is a grass, along with all the other grains that we eat. They are also grasses. Hey, appreciable assets. Corn is the most widely grown grain crop throughout the Americas, with 361 million metric tons grown in the United States alone. So here we have a corn plant. I don't know how well you can see the little parts though, but basically, let me go to this other screen. So basically, when you grow corn, you have what is called a corn stalk. At the top here, you have what are called tassels. This is the male part of the corn. This is where pollen comes from. Down here, where the ears will develop, you'll have what will first develop on it before the actual ears are pollinated. You'll have what are called silks. So these silks will come out the side of the corn, and then the tassels at the top will drop pollen onto the silks. So a corn is a wind pollinator. So it does not need an insect to pollinate it. The wind will actually pick up that pollen and it will take it and it will drop that pollen onto those silks. So each one of these silks actually connects to a kernel. So when you opening up a ear of corn and you see all that like hair, that's actually the silks, and each one of those silks connects to one of those kernels. So when you have like a fully um, developed ear of corn, each one of those silks was actually pollinated. So the ear is, like I say, is the actual corn that develops, and then the corn itself are made of kernels. The stalk also has these leaves, and it has roots, and they have very shallow roots. I like growing corn, but it is very you know it's very fragile, especially when the wind or something blows. It'll just blow it right over. So you have to go in and you have to like mound up the dirt around it and things like that. I'm sorry, not dirt, the soil around it, and that will help support it. Other than that, I've had corn blow over on me like 2 years in a row from just really bad storms and things. So it's very, like I said, it has very shallow roots, so it will fall over. So here we have a corn kernel, and we're looking at the anatomy up close. Make sure nobody has any questions. So this inner part is called the endosperm. This is where we have starch, and we'll talk about this in a minute as we start to discuss popcorn and how it goes about popping. Then we have the outer shell, which is called the pericarp. Then we have the germ, which is right here in the middle, and then we have the tip cap. This is where if the corn actually um, is germinated, which is planted in water and it calls germination. This is where the root would come out of at the bottom here on that tip cap part. So, does anybody have any questions? No questions. No questions. So, a corn kernel is actually a seed, and you can actually grow another corn plant from this seed. So, each one of these is a seed. So, when I was saying that corn, it can be classified as a grain, a vegetable, and a fruit. Um, the reason being that seed is actually called a caryopis, and it's the fruit and the seed actually fuse together. So all this endosperm and all this other stuff on here, this would actually be the fruit part, that skin on the outside. You don't think of it as a fruit, but it really is because it contains a seed, and that's what fruits are. They contain seeds. So um, yeah, so it can be classified as a grain, a vegetable, because we're eating a seed, but we're also eating a fruit too. So it has multiple classifications. So the Corn Belt in the United States. The Corn Belt is a region of the Midwestern United States where corn has, since the 1850s, been the predominant crop, replacing the native tall grasses. This region has dominated American farming for the past century. So the Corn Belt includes states like Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. Sometimes parts of Kentucky is added into there, as well as parts of Michigan, and a little bit of not Wisconsin. What state am I looking at? I don't know. Michigan. I know Michigan is part of there, and then like I say, part of Kentucky, and that's it for that. But when we talk about the actual popcorn production, there's a few states that are added into there. So the corn industry, the numbers, the United States farmers have planted 91.7 million acres of corn in 2019, according to the National Agricultural Statistics Services, or NAS. Um, Speaking of that, you can actually go in there and you can see like all the farmers in the United States that have registered on like this census. You can go in there and get all that data, so you can see what farmers, based off demographics, race, gender, things like that. You can visit that website and find out all of that information. You can find out like what states are, who's farming the most corn, or who's raising hogs, all types of stuff. So when you think about 91.7 million acres of corn, that equates to about 69 million football fields of corn and 3% more than that last year. Far more acres than the next largest crop, which is soybeans. In 2019, the corn industry was worth $50.79 billion. The production of corn plays a major role in the U.S. economy as the grain can be used for food, seed, and industrial purposes. Thanks to appreciable assets. All right, so there's four types of corn. There's dent, or also known as field corn. Then there's flint corn. Then there's sweet corn, and then there's popcorn. So I have um, some field corn here. So this is field corn. Usually, let me switch cameras here. So this is the corn that you can go and like buy at a nursery, and you can feed it to deer. Also, they use this to feed this to livestock. You can feed this to chickens and birds and all types of things. But this is field corn. It's not sweet. It's not good. But they also use field corn to make things like corn tortillas and hominy, as well as grits, hominy grits, and things like that. So it's just a different type of field corn. It'll actually be white if you were trying to make grits. But you can actually use this field corn to make what do you call it? The tortillas and the hominy and all that. It has to go through a process called nixtamalization, where you soak it in lime water, not lime like the citrus fruit, but lime like the base, and you soak it in there. And what it does, it takes the seed coat off, or that pericarp off of there, and it exposes that endosperm and things like that, and it actually makes it more nutritious. You can actually get niacin from the corn once you expose that. It also destroys things like aflatoxin. That's fungi that will grow on corn that can be very toxic and deadly. It's that black, when they talk about the black fungus that grows, a lot of that grows on corn. And so putting it through that whole process of using that base, it denatures that toxin on there, and so you can't get sick. Then we have this is a corny broadcast. It sure is. So yeah, we have some flint corn here. Got to get the camera right. So this is what they call Indian corn. It's that colorful corn. This is also not sweet. This is usually used for decorations. But you can again, you could process this in that base, and you could actually make some products from it as well once you processed it. I know you guys have all seen sweet corn, so I don't have any of that here. Everybody's pretty much consumed sweet corn. And then we have the popcorn. Can you hand me that container? So the popcorn, it grows on ears just like this as well. I just could not find any, but I have a lot of popcorn kernels, which we're going to actually pop a little later. We're going to show you how to actually pop this in a skillet and not actually, use the the microwave popcorn. It's so cold out here.
Oh no.
Hi. That's Chandler. All right, so we're going to talk about popcorn now. As you guys will learn more about popcorn than you ever knew about popcorn. So most popcorn consumed in the world occurs in the United States. Approximately 70% is eaten in the home popped or pre-popped, and about 30% outside the home at theaters, stadiums, schools, and many other places. Unpopped popcorn accounts for approximately 90% of sales for home consumption. The major popcorn producing states are Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Missouri, Nebraska, and Ohio made the ranks again. So popcorn is actually a type of flint corn, and we talked about flint corn. That's like that Indian corn that we have there. Its kernels have a very hard outer shell with a hard, starchy inside. It is dried to a moisture level of 13.5%, the optimal moisture content for good popping. Good evening, Edwina. So popcorn, how does it pop? Brew and feed. Yeah, Ohio. OHIO. Popcorn pops best in temperatures of 400 to 460 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically, how this works is um, you put the popcorn in heat. So you'll put some oil in a, when you're popping popcorn, you always have oil present, and that oil heats up to that 400 to 460 degree temperature that is needed. Once you put it in there, that moisture that's in there will start to heat up, and it will start to vaporize. And as it starts to vaporize, water that at that point the water is has turned into steam in there, and it needs somewhere to go. So what it does, it cracks the shell, which is that outer pericarp. It cracks the shell, and as that pressure is building up, and then all of a sudden it'll just pop. And so that endosperm on the inside, that white part that's on the inside, which is also the germ, that is the white part that you see that explodes out of there once that it has reached that tipping point of where it's going to explode. And that pressure, like I say, it'll pop it out and it'll actually turn the kernel inside out. So on the outside, you'll have where the pericarp kind of folds back, and then all that starch pops out of there. So that white part is actually starch that has erupted out of the actual kernel. So again, we have the picture of what the corn kernel looks like before it's popped. So um, this pericarp is the outer shell, and that's what actually ruptures, and it allows this germ and this endosperm to pop out of there, and that's how we get popcorn. But you have to have that, that 13%. I think it's 13 up to like 15% moisture on the inside. If it's too much moisture, it's not going to pop, and if it's not enough moisture, it's not going to pop. And then you have to have that temperature, that heat, to actually start that whole chemical process. So we're gonna talk about microwave popcorn real quick. We're gonna talk about a thing called popcorn lung. This is a nickname for bronchiolitis obliterans, are also known as popcorn lung. This is a condition that damages your lungs, smallest airways, and makes you cough and feel short of breath. It is sometimes caused by breathing in chemicals used to flavor a microwave popcorn. Other chemicals or lung illnesses can also cause popcorn lung. And this was a big issue back in the summer of last year when they were saying people were getting popcorn lung from vaping. So vaping is another way that you can get popcorn lung, but actually consuming and breathing in, those chemicals from those microwave popcorn bags can actually cause popcorn lung also. Also, popcorn, you know, when you get it, pre-packaged before pop it, it has a lot of extra ingredients that are not necessary. So you'll have your popcorn, but then you might have soybean oil, natural artificial flavors, colors added. Sometimes there's milk. All types of things are added to it that are not really necessary. So we're going to show you how to make your own popcorn at home in a skillet with no artificial chemicals. Some supplies that you'll need are some popcorn kernels. And you can get these really cheap at the grocery store. Just go over where they have the microwave popcorn. They usually have a bag of kernels that you can buy. You'll need some oil. You can use coconut oil. Um, we're just going to use this little popcorn popping oil that they have that you can buy at the store. It's probably not the best. The coconut oil or some high heat oil that you can purchase. I think like grapeseed oil is a high heat. It has to have a high smoke point. It can tolerate 400 degrees. Um, so you just need an oil. Then you need a skillet. You can use a skillet, on your stove. We have a little electric one that we brought out here. Um, some salt if you want that, and then seasoning if you want that as well. And then, of course, a bowl or something to put the popcorn in. But before we do that, I just want to remind you guys about Kiwi Produce School. All this information will be uploaded to the school. I'm kind of behind. I had a lot of stuff going on last week, so I need to upload a lot of the information that I did for the presentations last week. But if you go to kiwiproduce.farm/school, I have all these Facebook lives as well as YouTube lives that I do, and I have recorded webinars. I have classes and things that you can buy on there. But let me switch to what did I just do? All right, we're gonna switch to the camera here, and Alexander's gonna actually pop the popcorn for us today.
Yay.
Yes, you can also air pop as well. But sometimes people don't have one of those air poppers, so I'm trying to show, you know, some things that you might already have at your home, so you don't have to go out and buy extra stuff. And you can still have popcorn. You can have safe popcorn and not the, you know, the stuff from the those microwave bags that it's not good for you. So let me set this camera up here so that we can get this whole. Where are you going? Okay, so Alexander will be right back. He's going to demonstrate how to um, pop the popcorn. Can you guys still hear me? So we're gonna use this electric skillet here. Okay. So we're gonna let Alexander explain what to do. Do you remember what to do?
No. I haven't did it so long.
So first of all, you need to set your. If you have one of these electric skillets, you have to set it to about 375. Is it on?
Yeah. So put it on 360.
Okay. So set the skillet. Then
Put
you need to put oil in there. So you'll take.
1 tablespoon.
Talk loud so they can hear you.
So you need to take 1 tablespoon of oil.
So we have our oil right here. Like I said, you can use your favorite high point or high burn oil. I forget how they phrase that, but it's an oil that can tolerate at least 400 degrees. You'll need 1 tablespoon of that.
Now I put it in.
Well, you don't warm it up. Is it warming up?
Yep. My hands, I feel so good now.
And then you'll take your kernels.
And put.
Oh, we gotta wait for that to heat up.
Heat it up for me.
You'll use 1/4 of a cup. So we're gonna use. So for every 1/4 of a cup that you add, you'll add 1 tablespoon of oil. But you only want to add 1 or 2 right now to see if the oil is hot enough. You only want to add 1 or 2 to see if the oil is hot enough. 1 or 2.
1 or 2 what?
Kernels to see if the oil was hot enough.
I think it is.
It's not. It's not even sizzling yet.
I hear sizzling.
So what would happen is you would add 1 or 2 kernels to see how hot the oil is, and once you add those, you guys will add the rest now. Then you'll put the lid on. You're gonna shake it up so they all get covered in oil.
There's so little room to do it.
So now they're starting to sizzle. I don't know if you guys can hear that. No, it's not flash point. It's like burn point or smoke point. It's called smoke point. So it'll take about a minute or two. They're actually starting to sizzle now. So in a minute we'll start seeing them pop. See if I can get the camera to zoom in on that.
Put the camera right here and bring it down. And this camera, oh,
It's already down as far as it'll go.
I zoomed it.
Uh,
I just zoomed it.
So they're starting to pop now.
I saw one.
Take the lid off so they we wouldn't normally do this, so I want you guys to see it popping. That's why we did it outside. So but yeah, that oil will pop out too, and that can burn you. But you just want to shake it up a little bit more to get them all coated, and then they'll all pop. And even that little bit will seem like a little bit of kernels, but it'll actually pop into a lot of popcorn.
It looks so little though. Do any of y'all like this? That's getting a little bit. Anyone like this video? Show it to the fans again now. I'll show it to the fans again.
So as you can see, they're all popping in here. Get the camera to focus on it. So then once the popping has kind of stopped, I recommend a parent does this, especially with children under the age of 10, because it's hot oil.
Okay, I'm good.
But you know, Alexander can do it by himself, but it does have hot oil and it can burn, so you want to make sure that you get them out of there as soon as possible so they do not burn in the pan. But then you have your own, you know, you have fresh popcorn that you did on the skillet and you didn't use the microwave, and so you're not going to be exposed to that popcorn lung and all those chemicals and things and all those preservatives and all that. So you'll just have, you know, fresh popcorn at home. So if you want to make some more, I go get a paper towel.
So now since I got the lead.
And then you can do it by yourself now without me telling you what to do. So it's just gonna make a little bit more. If anybody has any questions or
now, one question: did anyone follow through with this?
well, they have to have the stuff at home. All right, go ahead.
Where's the tablespoon stuff?
Here. Or did it fall?
Sis?
Yeah, that's it.
Can I add 2? Huh?
Yeah, you got to add 2 of these. It's gonna be different now that the skillet is actually hot. So it's real easy. You know, popcorn is a healthy snack. Before you start adding all those extras to it, like the too much salt and things like that. Okay, add the other stuff. What's up? Gotta shake it, remember.
I know.
Kettle corn. Oh, you gotta go get some sugar. Wow. Don't burn yourself. Did you burn yourself?
No, actually, I didn't.
Yeah, if you want to make kettle corn, you would add sugar to the
So can we
you probably
add
add like a teaspoon of sugar and then you coat it and then that sugar will caramelize and that's how you get kettle corn. It might be a little bit more sugar than that. So yeah, I always when I go out to the school, this is one of the classes that I would take and we would, go through the whole lecture and then at the end we would make popcorn at the end so they got to see the whole process and they got to realize that, there's science that happens around them all the time at home, even when it comes to just making popcorn. They get to see the science of all of that.
You see all that popcorn.
And so you can actually purchase um popcorn popcorn seeds that you can plant and you can actually grow your own
Now my
popcorn
hands feel good.
stalks and then you can have it actually on the cobs and then you can actually pop it on the cob too. Or the ear.
That's a lot of popcorn.
You can actually use a pot like on the stove because it'll be a lot deeper so then the popcorn can't just like pop out of there. But whatever you have that has a lid and you can, put oil in it and things, you can use that to pop the popcorn in. So I'm gonna pull this, put the lid on it. This is the last one we're popping because we don't need all this popcorn.
I mean, it's healthy.
I know you get overzealous and you'll keep going. But that is how you make popcorn. So what happened to the camera? Oh, over here. I'm looking at the computer. So we just made all this popcorn and it didn't cost us like $100. It would cost at like the movie theater. So you're in quarantine right now. You can go home, make some popcorn, watch one of your Netflix movies.
Share this video. This is a good way how to make popcorn. Healthy
popcorn. I haven't put anything on it yet, so I haven't, added all that salt and stuff to it. So whatever you want to put on it, you're the controller of that. So you can make it as healthy or as unhealthy as you want to. So any questions, comments, concerns?
Watch me eat one. Watch me eat one.
Alexander wants you to watch him eat popcorn. All right, we'll put the camera back up here. I'll put it back here.
So can I turn this off?
Yeah, you can turn it off. So tomorrow, if all goes well, can't see me.
I want some more. Put your hands over me.
Okay, so tomorrow, if all goes well, I'm going to attempt to show you guys how to start making bread, and it's going to be like a 2-day process. So I'll do the starting process tomorrow, and then we're going to talk about wheat, and we're going to talk about flour, and we're going to talk about bread, and then we'll start it tomorrow, and you have to let it rise, and then I'll come back on Saturday sometime and show you what it looks like as the dough rises. And we'll just go through the whole process of
it tastes so good.
Go through the whole process of how to make bread. So that's tomorrow. We're gonna talk about wheat, bread, what is it, gluten. We're gonna talk about all the good stuff that associated with bread. We're gonna talk about yeast and how they go about, helping the bread rise and things like that. And if you don't want yeast in your bread, then you can use things like baking soda and baking powder, and talk about what that does and things like that. So hope you guys can come back tomorrow as we continue our discussion of grains. And so again, wheat is another cereal grain. We use that for flour, as well as people they drink wheatgrass and all this other stuff. And so yeah. So if you have any questions, guys, we're going to get out of here because I'm freezing now. What do you have to say?
This tastes so good, but it only needs some toppings on it.
Need some salt?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of not salty.
But it's still good.
So any questions before we get out of here? If not, I thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. If you'd like to, you can also become a patron. I have 3 patrons now, and I have to thank you guys tomorrow. I forgot everybody's name. I'll list them tomorrow on here. But thank you for the patrons that have signed on. You guys help keep this this information coming. Going out buying products and trying to set up these classes and things. It costs money to do this. Also, it costs money to run these these programs to where I can stream and all that stuff. So every dollar counts. Every dollar I'm very appreciative of, because it allows me to educate you guys and keep you guys well informed of what's going on. So again, if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/Urban Farm Sister. Also, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube. And if you haven't, you can also follow my Facebook page. So if you guys don't have any questions, we will see you later. And if you have any questions, you can always put them in the comments of this video. This video will actually show up on Facebook as well as YouTube. And if you don't want to put the comment, or you have a question that you don't want to ask there, you can send me an email, urbanfarmsister@gmail.com. And what you have to say?
I might be uploading the video so y'all can keep in touch of learning. I might or not. Next week. Math.
Oh, he's going to be uploading the math video. Hasn't done one in a while. All right, so good night, guys. We're going to go in now because it's freezing cold. See you later.